Welcome to the No Ideas original podcast featuring Shannon, Mr. Rob, and Zane, episode 101. Yo, that's right. No Ideas original 101. But I feel like we got a good discussion lined up for tonight, so I don't think anything will be 101 about it. You go to school, everything 101 is basic.
This ain't gonna be basic, son.
What's up? How y'all week been so far?
Mine's has been good. I'm getting healthier. I feel they're slowly taking me off this bunch of pills I've been on. So that's telling me that my body's adapting to the medication, and I'm starting to turn a good corner.
That's good. Yeah.
So my lab work is good. Everything is good. They're about to pull me off of blood pressure, which would be even great. But on that note, that's where I'm at with it right now.
So I mean, you're gonna be running full court in your front yard or your backyard?
I already got it in my mind. I got some drills. I'm gonna work like a little kid trying out for AAU. I have a whole regimen set up, man. It's tough that it's fall, about to be winter, and where I live, it might snow tomorrow.
Yeah, it's gonna be You up in the mountains?
Yeah, I gotta try to get it in when I can. You know what I mean?
Yo, or you gonna be one of them dudes that be in the garage. People have their whole workout set up in the garage. Yeah. Yo, I never figure out people have their whole workout set up in the garage. They make it a point to leave the garage door open. Like you at damn LA Fitness or something. People want to watch you work out.
But yo, you're sitting there, you generate enough heat, it get hot in there, son.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I guess that's one of the reasons why they're doing it. What's up with you, Z? How you doing?
Cool, man. Just trying to slow down on this fast food eating, man. I've been eating fast food a lot, now.
I don't mean to interrupt, but your picture look like an album cover, son. Your background and the light on your face like an album cover, son.
Like an album cover. Yeah, man. I've been eating too much fast food lately, man. So I gotta slow down with that because I ain't trying to get over 200 pounds or whatever.
Please.
But but besides that, man, it's been crazy rain down here today. A lot of flood warnings down here and stuff like that. So just everybody stay safe out there on the roads and stuff especially out here in the DMV. Did y'all get rain up there?
Yeah, we got some rain.
Yeah, it was probably like early in the week. It didn't rain today, but early in the week. I think it's supposed to rain tomorrow, probably.
Actually, this evening into tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
You know what's crazy too? When it rains now, it seems to flood everywhere.
I noticed that.
It's a lot of flood watch down here.
I noticed that. You know what it is? Because
it's flooded, like
torrential downpour now.
Yeah, that's true. It's coming down.
It could be all this rain, all this snow, and everything, and people still gonna say they don't believe in climate change.
Right.
Yeah.
So it is what it is.
People don't believe in change. That's why people are afraid of change. Period.
Facts.
Mm-hmm.
First topic of the night. So we got down here, New York Police Department puts the deadline in place for the mandate, and everybody knows what the mandate is, and that's actually today, October 29th at 5 p.m. I think was the mandate. But beyond New York Police Department, I believe it's all of New York City
sanitation, fire
department, all of them are up for it. And I read somewhere that they had until this past Wednesday to file for religious exemptions or other exemptions. But this looks like it's pretty much going through. I'm interested in you guys' opinion on this. What do you think? Rob, you want to start? What's your opinion on this?
Oh man. Well, I mean, it's all based upon people's opinion about the vaccine. That's first. Not everyone has to take it. No one take it because if you want to take it. But the thing is, man, no vaccination, no pay. You get sent home with no pay.
Yeah,
that's a wrap. And the police department, 75% of the police department is already taking the shot or the jab or whatever you want to call it. Mm-hmm. So still 25% that's objecting. But they have a reason to object. I mean, no pay. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Just because you don't want to take, And I mean, I know some of them are looking for medical exemption and religious exemption and all that. And you got cops working 12-hour shifts, man. There's so much being tangled up in this.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it's disheartening, man, for real.
Yeah. What do you think, Z?
Well, with the dramatic.
Hold on. Yo, you did the G stats. He said, "Well, huh."
Yeah. Hey, I tell you what. I think they use it as a strategic scare tactic because first of all, if you have 25% of the New York Police Department that won't get vaccinated, crime is going to go up crazy. And the thing about it, I believe crime was doing like the numbers on crime was pretty low over the past several years, right?
Nah, crime was up.
Robberies and things like that, petty theft is still there.
Yeah,
there was a period where I think murders and violent crime was down.
Violent crime, right?
Not now.
So right now,
everyone is scamming. It's a scam season, so everyone got a
scam season. So what I'm thinking right now, man, I mean, what are they going to do to replace the ones that's not going to get vaccinated? Because go ahead, Rob.
They're gonna put police officers on longer shifts.
Yeah, that too.
To compensate, and which is gonna overwork the officers who got to be out there 12 hours.
Yeah, because it's like what corrections
for that. It's crazy.
Corrections department 52% vaccinated, 11% of the FDNY vaccinated. So I mean, when you have like major situations such as fires or homicides and stuff like that, if you already understaffed, then that's gonna put more stress into the police department. And a lot of these cops that are, I mean, don't get me wrong, there are a lot of good cops out there, but just as much as good cops, there are bad cops. Sure. And them bad cops are going to feel the pressure, and them good cops also going to feel the pressure because they understand. You see what I'm saying? So I mean, something has to give, because at the end of the day, we already saw how stuff was, during this whole pandemic. It's a high stress level going on. Then number two is, if them cops won't get vaccinated, then I'm thinking the likelihood will be like the National Guard come in and replace the ones that are non-vaccinated, and then you also gonna have like the like the other cats that are straight military. They're gonna delve into the military people or whatever, and have them come on in. If they come on in, it's gonna be end game.
I think that I don't think it's going to get to that. You know what I think is going to happen? No? I think a couple of things are happening. I think the reason why I don't think it's going to come to that is because I think that they probably anticipated that they would have backlash, and I would imagine that they probably have people in the academy coming through the academy as we speak. Like I think it's going to be initially burdensome for officers currently working, and there'll probably be longer shifts and stuff like that. But I also feel that Mayor de Blasio has sort of put in place. He has proof of concept. So he's been down this road before with the teachers, right? He just spent like a couple of weeks ago. He went down the same route with the teachers, and it was all a whole bunch of litigation going back and forth to court, and it was stays for a while where it wasn't allowed to go through. But the end result of it was like all those lawsuits that the teachers and the teachers unions were filing on behalf of this, all of them, they end up losing. And he ended up
PBA put a lawsuit out on the city.
Yeah, he ended up winning out. And what happened was, I think you have there's cohorts of people. I think you have people who initially, regardless whether there's influence from the job or not, were probably going to agree to go do it. Then I think you have some people that the initial scare around it, like if you don't get it, you lose your job, moves them to do it. And then I think you have holdouts, people who say like, you know what, I'm going to hold out. And then as a result of the holdout, they turn up the fire a little bit, and then some people give in and end up getting vaccinated. And then you have other people who just, at the end of the day, they're like, yo, I'm just not doing it. I'm not going to do it. And that's what it is. But again, I go back to, I think what I understand and I overstand both perspectives around this. Like I understand why a person would be like, well, it's my body, it's my choice. And, I don't want to do it. And I also understand why the city would put some of this stuff in place. Like I think what kind of gets lost on people, because I think people look from the sense of individualistic, like they're looking at how does this directly impact me? Well, some of the money that the state actually draws in, it's a trickle down effect. Federal dollars, state dollars to city, local, municipality dollars. And I'm sure that there's probably something tied in that, that people don't, the general public may not be aware of, saying that in order for you to draw down money for these different civil service positions or whatever, like, yo, this is what we requiring, so that's one of the reasons why I think the city or the state will put something like this in place and put these people in a position. Now, I think the other thing around this that comes up every time I hear people talk about it is that what makes it rough is because you look at, like, these are people that in our eyes, like, yeah, people got beef with the police, but at the end of the day, you look at the police, you look at the fire department, you look at sanitation, corrections, like, these are almost like unsung heroes in a sense, but also unsung heroes. So people are looking like, well, how could you do that to these people? But again, when I go back to proof of concept, remember, they had the same thing in play with the healthcare workers and remember, they put the healthcare workers on the same plan, like, you're gonna get vaccinated or you're gonna be out. Now,
and that's a crazy point about the healthcare workers, because they went an entire year without no vaccination, helping people survive.
You know why that is, though? Think about it. You can't have somebody administering this and they not taking it. The all validity, the whole people gonna be like, wait a minute, so you telling me it undermines the whatever people believe about it. You can't go to somebody and be like, I'm gonna inoculate you, but I didn't take it because I don't believe in it. So of course that they were gonna do that to them. But again, to go back to proof of concept, like, I think de Blasio has been down this road enough times where he's like, yo, I'm not gonna blink, and it's either gonna be people are gonna do it or people are gonna be out on leave without pay.
But de Blasio also went with the plan because the police union set it up to where police officers would get tested weekly. And they've been doing that thus far, and have been coming up with everyone being negative. Nothing is pulled up where someone all of a sudden becomes positive, and then they got to go through the whole rigmarole, the hospital and the stay and the quarantine. They haven't had that. I think that's what the PBA's beef is. Like, hold on, the process is already working. Why are you rushing people to mandate when what we have in place is already working?
And so what's his justification as to why?
Who? The PBA?
De Blasio. What's his justification?
He doesn't have a justification. He just switched up.
Okay.
He just switched up and said, now it's a mandate. But hold on. That right there is the confusing part. You know what I mean? If something's already working and you need people out on the road, out there in the street, and it's working, why would you scrap it to put in place a mandate? And I'm sure there's a bigger reason why he did that.
Maybe, I was just about to say that. Maybe it's working from the perspective of the PBA and the police, but maybe from the perspective of the city, maybe the city is like, it doesn't work for us.
Man. And trust me, man, honestly, if whatever it is that's roaming around out here in the community that is killing people, police officers, because they administer the public all day, they can be the easiest carriers of this shit for whatever is working. You know what I'm saying? Because they come in contact with so many different people every day. You know what I mean? So I understand why I think it's necessary for them to get vaccinated. I think it's very necessary for them. But if those who aren't or don't want to, I don't think you should mandate it. That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
You know what I'm thinking too, man? I think it goes back to the oath. It goes back to the brotherhood. If you got quote unquote, like I said, there are good police out there, but there's a number of bad police out there, right? So if you have certain police that had, substantial evidence knowing that this particular officer is wrong and had wrongdoing and stuff like that, if you're going to be under the oath of that, you're also going to be under the oath of the ones that didn't get vaccinated. You're still going to have them on the force, because if you have 25% that's in jeopardy of leaving without pay. Okay, imagine how many cops in the radius per square mile that they're going to be short-staffed. You see what I'm saying? So that's going to be like a accident. An accident happening on purpose.
I don't mean to cut you. You know what's crazy? You used to know what police officers do. You used to see them on the beat. You used to see them visually in the community.
Yeah.
fuck do they do now? They just answer the call. That's it. They sit somewhere and just wait for shit to happen.
Yo, you know, I would hope, and I'd like to think that New York City has a strategic planning committee that they've looked at this and they said that, okay, if these people don't buy in and agree to it, you know, how do we make sure that these shifts are covered? How do we make sure that we have people properly deployed? How do we do this? I would like to think, because nowhere do I have the level of strategic planning that New York City has. But I know if I was making a move this big, I would be thinking behind the scenes, what are the implications if people don't agree to it, and how do I work through it? So
how do I get past? How do I jump over that hurdle once I use it, right?
And they were very vocal with the teachers around, okay, if you're not going to do it, then we have subs lined up that we already had vaccinated that will agree to do it. Right. So I don't know if that's the blueprint that they figure, okay, if these people aren't going to do it, we already have people in the police academy that can handle it and that'll take it on, or we have auxiliary police that we looking to promote. You know, so I personally think that they probably have something in place, and I think it's just a game of kind of staring down, playing chicken to see who's going to blink first. You know, it's like, is the city going to blink first because the city is going to be understaffed, or is the PBA going to blink first because they're going to be like, these people are going to lose their jobs? Like, one of the things that comes up around this, in terms of these discussions, and the rhetoric that's usually hear people say is like, well, you're not giving people a choice. The reality of it is, like, people have a choice. It's just not choices that people like, right? You have a choice. It's not a choice that you like. Right. And you think about it like, yo, we're often confronted with choices like that. That's just what it is. It's like, all right, I got choice A that sucks, choice B that sucks. You have to make a choice. And it's not always going to be where, you know what, I'm going to do a right in option C. When I did the joint, I was talking about the Kyrie stuff. What I was saying in the Kyrie joint is, it's exactly that. Like, I think what people don't realize is that, you know, option A is, you know, you take it, you keep your job or whatever. B is, you know what, you don't take it.
No,
you don't have no job. Like, why has this become so convoluted? And I don't want to diminish the significance of a person having their job, but, you know, we've had other situations that we had a choice, you know, and we weren't put in a position where we had to make a choice. And as a result of it, I think that we carry a lot of our decision making that way. Like, think about like our representation, like probably this last election, because people hate Donald Trump so much, people went to the polls and voted. But there are many elections that us as people of color, we sit out because we don't like option A or B, but it doesn't have as immediate ramifications or tangible ramifications that we could touch and put our hands on it. Right. This is an option A or B that has immediate ramifications and tangible things that we know of, right? If you make the decision, you have to live with whatever comes with it, and you keep your job. If you decide you don't want it, you don't keep your job. So, you know, it can't be, well, I don't like the choices, so there's not a choice. Like, no, there's a choice. You may not like the choices, but there's a choice. You gonna say something?
I'm glad you used that word choice, because this goes to show you how much people or individuals, the idea about healthcare. You can easily have a conversation with your nephrologist, your urologist, your primary care. What are my options? You know what I've been dealing with for those who are immune suppressed like myself. I talk to my nephrologist. I talk to my urologist. I talk to my cardiologist. I make sure I have a healthy relationship with these guys. So when the question does come up, I get an answer where I can digest, like, you know what? All right, I think I'm good. I trust that. It sounds like that'll work for me. You know what I mean? But no one is doing that. People are just taking the Roman right, like, nah, fuck that, I ain't doing it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not doing it, and that's because of the trust or the lack of trust that people have with the system.
I think another thing too. Now go ahead, Shannon.
Now, I was gonna say, part of it is the trust and the lack of trust. Part of it also is that there's so much information out there. It's hard for people to discern which fact it was fiction. And based on what your stance is, you could pull up tons of literature to support whatever your stance is around it. So it really just comes down to you as an individual just saying, am I doing this or not? Gazi.
That's it.
Another two strong factors too. I definitely agree with both of what you were saying earlier, but two other strong factors too is look at the situation with, okay, we have 2 full months left, right? So who's to say there's not going to be another massive protest going on? And then you got, the winter weather coming up. You got snow, ice, black ice, all that other good stuff. So heavy rain. So who's to say that, okay, being that those are other factors, like how much crazier it's going to get, and people like the average criminal mind is going to use that to their advantage.
Pay attention from Thanksgiving, the day after Thanksgiving, Black Friday,
Friday. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, New Year's.
Well, let me say this. Let me say this, because I think both of y'all are hitting on the narrative that we're going to see. If in fact police officers hold the fort and be like, we not doing it, we gonna go on this leave without pay kind of thing, and 20% of the force is slashed, if crime goes up, that's gonna be the narrative around why crime went up. You know that, right? They're like, well, crime is up because we have this, that, or whatever,
decide not to get the jab.
That's what's gonna be the narrative, and that's what Pat Lynch and the PBA gonna push. Oh, because people stayed out, or because you have the mayor, for this, that, or whatever. But you people gotta look at the chessboard and see where the pieces are. The reason why de Blasio doesn't have to back away or back down off of this also is de Blasio's a lame duck mayor. He's not up for re-election.
That's right. He's
not up for re-election. So anything that he does now is like, it's not like he has a whole bunch of political capital that somebody's going to be beating down his door like, hey, you want to run for governor? You want to run for this or that or whatever? Like, his name is not exactly cream of the crop. So he could kind of stand back and be like, yo, just let it play out. And that'll be it.
There's 25% of the police officers that are rejecting vaccination. The percentage is much higher in them other areas.
Yeah, corrections officers, I think, have to December 1st. That to me that's a real issue, more so because they were already desperately short-staffed and the conditions were deplorable.
Imagine 50% of the staff gone in a prison or whatever.
Yeah, 50% of the staff already going in Rikers.
You saw what you call it, right? You saw the Batman Dark Knight Rises, right? Gotham City turned upside down.
Yeah, I don't, honestly, I don't think it's going to come to that. I think that, like I said, I think there's a cohort of people, you already got vaccinated, a cohort of people that when they started threatening said, you know what, I need my job, I need my livelihood, and took it. And then I think you got some people that probably seen the writing on the wall after all the litigation and was like, yo, I'm gonna take it. Then you have another cohort of people that I'm not taking it and I'm leaving. And then you're going to have other people that's just going to continue to go to court, protest around it. I think they received several exemptions, people filing for exemptions. Filing for exemptions is a stay for people. So that pushes it further out until it actually gets heard. That doesn't necessarily mean they're going to grant the exemption, but that gives the police officers more time with it. And here's the other thing to think about, and I guess maybe I have this perspective as an employer also, because I have employees that come to me, and they like, do we have to, like, some of our employees have to get vaccinated? This is based on how like our funding and the structure is set up. And some of them are like, well, I don't understand. Well, what about my health or this, that, or whatever? My position around it is always the same. I'm like, I respect whatever decision you make. If you decide to do it, great. If you don't, we can't have you because our contract says that this is what it has to be. And even when you think about like a dude like Kyrie with the Nets and, these other organizations that are put in this position, like I think people think organizations and businesses aren't put in the position as the average everyday employee, but you are, because you stand to lose some of your workforce and you have to make the decision. If you decide, you know what, forget it, I'm not getting vaccinated, I'm not forcing the staff to get vaccinated or whatever it is. So then not only do the staff be out of a job, you be out of your business, your company. Like if you opened the deli, Zane, and you was making $2 million a year at the deli and the federal government came in and was like, in order for your employees for your employees to work there, they got to get vaccinated, else you can't get paid no more. Or you gonna be like, well, you know what? Forget it. My $2 or $3 million deli, I'm letting go because I ain't telling these people to get vaccinated.
Nope. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna hire some engineers. I'm not gonna see a profit for a while, but get the AI rolling. Have them robots making my damn sandwiches.
Yo, I'll tell you one. I'll tell you a cheaper method. Just hire people that's willing to get vaccinated.
Yeah, but that can come and go at any given time. A robot is programmed to do what you tell it to do. People are not that way. People have a conscience. People have got to go to church on Sundays, whatever. Robots don't go to church on Sundays. Robots, they program whatever you put into their system. So
yo, Z saying, yeah, I just need you in the
cost
back
more, but it's more effective. And plus, robots don't get tired. They don't take lunch breaks. They don't take smoke breaks.
Yo,
they can burn out too, though, man.
Spacely Sprocket.
They can burn out, yeah. You're right.
You got no one to turn them off, man.
Yo, this is a good segue to the next topic, though. Like, I don't know if you guys are saw online, but like, we there's a huge influx of resignations around the country right now. I have a theory as to why, and it's a myriad of things, but I'm interested in hearing you guys' theory. Zane, what's your theory on why we're living in this era of the Great Resignation?
The Great Resignation could be a gift and a curse. The consequences to it is people are talking about they want higher pay. People want stability in their job. They want more hours instead of part-time hours. They want full-time hours. So some type of blanket of security. Now, the pros of this situation is that people are learning through the pandemic to be entrepreneurs. So with that being said, I mean, hey, a lot of people took that PPP loan. Some got caught. Some went through the crevices, and now they flourishing. You know what I'm saying? So it's a gift and a curse, man. It just depends on how you play it. It depends on how you play it.
What do you think, Rob?
Yo, almost 900,000 people in food services quit. They just left.
Yo, that's already a high turnover job, I'm sure.
Oh my God. Retail is over almost 700,000. Healthcare, about 500,000. Let me tell you something. Time brings us into new knowledge. And like Zane said, people are doing it yourself. There are a lot of things people were like, you know what? If I ain't got no flexible hours or if I can't work from home, I'll find a way to do it. I'll create a way to make, people are out here selling anything. And if you know how to work the internet and if you know how to computer savvy, you can pitch an idea to a buddy, maybe he'll front you a couple, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It's more than one way to skin the cat is really what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And as we also know, look, the price, the wage is not going up, but everything else is going up, groceries and everything else. So people out here coming up with creative ways to adapt to society.
This is what I'm saying. People are into this here. You know what I mean? There are a lot of people that are just even your wife. Your wife got her little bedazzle thing going on, son. Mm-hmm. That's gonna pop because it's gonna circulate across IG and Facebook. And all you need is 2 or 3 people to like it, and then the algorithm start to take it up. Before you know it, someone in China is looking at it like, yo, let me get 30 of those tomorrow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think I would say definitely like the pandemic partially contributed to the pandemic overall contributed to it, and I think it did put people in a position to become entrepreneurs and tap into that entrepreneurial spirit. But I also think the pandemic kind of made people people became lax and comfortable and got used to not going to work. So if you think about it, if you've gotten up and gone to work every day for 5 years in a row, and then all of a sudden 9 months to a year, you're not getting up and going, I think it's very easy to fall into a routine and get comfortable. Yeah. And I'm not saying that from a standpoint of becoming lazy. I'm saying that from a standpoint of, this is what I was missing at home. You mean I could be home with my kid, to work with my kid around the homework? I could be home to
a lot of times that's a decision.
I could be home. Yeah, I could be home. Yeah. So previously people had to struggle with work-life balance. Being home during the pandemic, work-life balance got a little bit easier because people were able to work virtually. And I think you see a lot of resignations because a lot of people are now calling people back to work and telling people you have to physically come into the office. And there are people who are like, no, I've already seen that I can do my job remote. And I kind of felt like that there would be a shift in how we conduct business as a result of the pandemic anyway, because my thought process behind it was that if companies weren't locked into all this money for these properties, a lot of companies probably be like, all right, we've seen that you could be just as effective working from home. We've seen that the company could generate revenue. We don't need the overhead of having the building, the electricity and this, that, or whatever it is. But I think that companies are locked into long-term leases and things like that, and other ventures and stuff, plans that they had in place that's not allowing them to offer but so much flexibility to employees. So you have a situation where people have worked from home for 9 months, and then now you got to come back to the office, and they're like, no, I think I prefer working remote, so I'm gonna find another company where I could work remote. Then you look at the lower end scale, where people with like lower hourly wages, where probably people are like, you know what, I never was making a significant amount of money anyway. They cut off the additional money for unemployment, but people are still receiving regular unemployment. You know, maybe for all we know, maybe people created a nest egg. Maybe people saved some money during the pandemic that made them be like, you know what, I have an opportunity now to be a little bit more selective in terms of the job that I take. And then there is, sadly, I think some people who have become complacent and was like, I'm used to being home. I'm gonna watch Divorce Court. I'm gonna watch Maury. I'm gonna chill out. Why do I need to go back? Kind of thing. So
I like
and just a little side note, fellas. I read this about 2 years ago. They were saying that it's projected that by the year 2035, artificial intelligence is going to take over 65 to 68% of the workforce.
Well, we had a discussion on here about that. Remember, I was saying like all these jobs gonna be automated anyway.
Oh yeah, and you see what Amazon is doing.
I seen that like 10 years ago. Maybe 10, 15 years ago, man, my manager would always say, find a way to automate that.
Yeah.
You take your hands off and let it ride. That's it.
For the reason that Zane said, robots don't need a day off. They don't need a smoke break. You know, like, you go into McDonald's.
All you gotta do is turn them off. That's it.
You go to McDonald's. Before you go into McDonald's, there'd be 10 cash registers. Now it's one cash register, a bunch of kiosks. You go into a bank.
It's funny you said that. It's funny you said that, bro. They have a McDonald's right down the street. They shut it down for like 3.5 months, if not 4. And then when they restructured it, now you can't even see them making food in the back, right? And then once in a while, they have it to where the cash register is just down. It won't accept cash. So you got to do everything like you said on the kiosk.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It's the but
they're conditioning people to use the kiosk only.
Well, you know what? We were already primed for it. Remember the first time you went to the supermarket and you seen self-checkout?
Yep.
That was about to start putting it in play. Like, you know what? You see these lovely people here, this human interaction. Do you really need it? They take long to scan your stuff anyway. You could scan it much faster. How many times you done been online in the supermarket and be like, I could have scanned this faster?
But people miss that, man. People need to realize how important human connection is.
Yeah.
They're getting people too desensitized. That's why a man can rape a chick in a damn train and people pull out their phone. They don't feel no connection to that person.
Yeah, I feel like that, like even when like the scanning and stuff and everything, like I think that it's always going to be at least one person around. But I do honestly see like a lot of jobs becoming automated. You know, like I just think that if you're a business owner, you know, and you could automate the work instead of hiring, like why wouldn't you get one machine that could do the job of 50 people or whatever? It's just logical. It just makes sense.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because you know how expensive it is for the average CEO or company or even like a small business to pay for insurance per person. So yeah, get that machine. As long as you keep it up with the latest technology and all that other stuff, you're good. You don't got to pay that insurance.
Your employee is your biggest bill.
We're about to see like the thing is, like some of the jobs that people once really looked at it like, okay, like this is a job I could get, it doesn't require much, like cab drivers. Eventually cab drivers, I'm telling you, eventually the same way Uber is in there, cab drivers are probably someday, I don't know if it'll happen in our lifetime, it may or may not, but cab driving is going to be automated. I think they're already working on automating trucks.
No, it's trucks that go cross country without nobody in them.
Yeah, so yo, this is just what it is.
18 wheelers too, some big jumps.
Yeah. But this
the rise of the machine.
To bring it back around, like I think that again, there are many factors, many things that factor into why we're seeing so many resignations. But I think that the pandemic has showed people that things can be done.
There's more than one way to skin a cat. Yo, there's more than one way to skin a cat.
Yeah, and what Zane said is true too, though. Like, you know, the wages are not going up, but everything else is going up. You know, so
that's why people are asking for flexible hours. So I can do something else. You know what I'm saying? Or can I work from home? If you're working from home, you can definitely do something else if you're doing something at home.
Yeah, that's a struggle sometimes for people, you know, as employers, to feel comfortable with people working from home, because they feel like I'm paying for people to work, and with their, you know, with their what's going to be their level of productivity. One of the things that I always thought that like the younger generation has had on our generation is that younger generation people, their thought process around this stuff is almost like, well, is this a 40-hour a week job? And you know, our response is a full-time job. It's 40 hours a week kind of thing. For them, they're like, all right, so what if I could do it in 15 or 20?
Right. They're already looking to simplify it.
Yeah, you know, high call. They probably, for some of the stuff that we have going on that we feel is far more complex, they like, nah, I could do it from my phone. I'll give you a prime example.
But I mean, to cut you in, but companies figured that out too.
Yeah, we started training some new staff at the company. And we have an app that we ask the staff to work on to insert data into it and everything. And I found that, you know, like I do lengthy presentations and trainings of it. And then for some staff, it's like, oh, this is laborious. I can't get it and this, that, or whatever. And then there's some staff, and it tends to usually be like the younger staff, that they be like, nah, I figured before you even finish the training, be like, nah, I got it. It's just that easy. This, that. Oh, you mean to tell me I could do this from my phone? I bet it's done, kind of thing. Right. You know, and we look at that, and we look at it almost from a standpoint, I don't know if it's envious, or look at it and be like, yo, what the hell? That's not the way the job is intended to be done. Right. But the reality of it is like, yo, it's just more efficient. They're more efficient than us.
I'm telling you, man. The times. That's what time does. It brings us into new fields of new knowledge, and the younger people they catch on to things a lot quicker, man, than we do. It's just natural progression of how we learn and how we develop and evolve as humans, man. But I'll tell you something, man. We're living in a time where knowledge and information are gonna be your best friends, and how you use it, and what you do with it. You know what I'm saying? That's gonna be the telling tale. You can't just have shit sitting on the shelf no more. You gotta put the wisdom in,
Yo, I wanna go back, because you said something just now. I think that's like really, really important and pivotal. You said we're living in a time of knowledge and information. And to kind of go back to the first topic we were talking about, when we were talking about like the mandate, do you think that it would have been this difficult to get people vaccinated had this was a time where the internet was in its infancy stage?
It's a good question. I think history plays a large part in this. And
that's just a fact.
Whether it was the internet or through radio or through concept, or just people just having common sense, and not that the people that have taken it or otherwise don't have common sense, but the internet has just expedited everything. I mean, I think the same result would have came out. It'd have been a percentage that they just ain't for it. But then there'd also been a larger percentage that be like, look, I'm trying to move around. I'm trying to do the things I've always been doing. And I ain't ready to sit back and just wait for a day when things change. I'm not doing that. So it's crazy if you ask me. It's crazy.
Yeah. What do you think, Zane? Do you think that the vaccination numbers would have been higher if this was a time when the internet was in its infancy?
I believe so, because you have less of, we always say before, like you got popular belief and you got fact. So look at early 90s to even say 1996 to now, right? How many people were born, right? How many people were conditioned into, getting savvy to technology and all that? So you might have close to a billion, or if not 500 million people that have been born since then to now, if not more, that's got into the, technology and stuff like that. So being said, that's a vast majority of people that are being like socially engineered, quote unquote, into following the trend. So yeah, I do believe the numbers would have been a lot higher back then.
Yeah, I think so. I think so too. Like, it's interesting though. Like our children, will never experience BI. Like all of them was born AI after the internet. They'll never know what it was like not to have the internet. That's amazing. New York City Board of Health declares racism a public health crisis. This is long. This is long overdue. I wonder what made them wake up one morning and be like, "Yo, racism is a public health crisis." Did they think about the trauma associated with it? What do you think, Rob?
I think it's a lot of things, man. People aren't making sound, rational decisions anymore, and you have to be concerned about people's mental health. But why are people in this stress and strain, under anxiety? Probably the anxiety numbers is up. That's not healthy. Anxiety is not healthy, man. Means your thoughts are running wild. You don't know. Look left, you look right. Somebody's after you. Your mind is playing tricks on you. It's not a good position. But how did you get there? You know what I'm saying? Were you chastised by the police when he pulled up behind you and it scared the living shit out of you? Thought you was going to jail? What traumatized? And I mean, look how this mandate thing, man, got people scared. Vaccination got people scared.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You got to think about it, man. I mean, the Board of Health, they passed 9 resolutions, 4 pages. And they're like, look, man, New York got to get healthier, but it has to confront racism first.
The first pandemic, the pandemic before this pandemic.
How do we commune with one another?
What do you think, Z?
That's always been an issue.
What do you think, Z? Well, I think it's three major factors, if not more. When you think of health, we're not just thinking about like our physical being. You're talking about the mental, and you also talking about the spiritual. So since this pandemic, and like I said before, we had so many people protesting about this, that, and the third. So you have less people going to church, which is, that plays a part in the spiritual. You have people looting and rioting and stuff like that, which it messes up the economy, whether in that rural area or in that inner city area, right? So that's more damage that's being done, which is more expensive. Then you also have the physical being, as far as like with the food and stuff like that. So, and that also, coincides with mental. So I just think that, like you said, Shannon, it took a very long time in order for it to happen. But also, it also goes into with, what we talked about two segments ago, as far as with police. Police, they are getting penalized, as far as their pension and stuff like that, because of the stuff that they're doing as far as with health, as far as killing these minorities, especially Black brothers and sisters out here. So they looking at it for a way to kind of like shift the whole situation to make things a little bit better. But come on, this should have been done 40, 50 years ago.
Yeah.
But it's never too late. It's never too late, though. It's never too late. But still, come on, man. Like, stuff is crazy.
One of the points in the resolution claims that the involvement with law enforcement has grown in the last recent decade. That means the interaction with police has grown. And also a lot of the outcomes come out with someone injured and unfortunately fatally, lost their life.
So we talk. You said over the last 40 years.
Last 40 years, I don't think I said that.
How many years? How many years did you say? You said in the last how many years? You said one of the resolutions said specifically that there's been more interactions, and there was
one of the points
mm-hmm.
of the resolution claimed the involvement with law enforcement has grown in recent decades.
In recent decades, oh, okay.
That's
okay.
10, maybe 20 years.
20 years. Okay, all right. Because I was trying to think about like historically what has happened over all those years that would increase police interaction. I mean, you know, I'm thinking in New York City, you know, stop and frisk,
crack epidemic, 80s.
Yeah. You know what? Honestly, I'll say this is, in thinking about this, I think one of the things that probably has increased police civilian interaction is putting the police in positions to do work that they're not actually trained for or doesn't involve policing. Like I think what Rob was saying earlier, like what does a police officer do? So police officers went from policing to now becoming social workers, trying to de-escalate people who have mental health issues, you know, mental health counselors. They've become marriage and family therapists going in to try to deal with domestic disputes. And then I think when you put them in that many different positions and stretch them thin, then they're forced to have increased public interaction. And I think anytime you start looking at increased public interaction, that increases the chances of there being some sort of conflict or crisis. And I know recently, I think in New York City, that they formed, I believe they have a unit that's specifically trained for mental health. So they're no longer deploying police to try to de-escalate mental health crisis. So maybe that'll help. But
task force?
I don't know what it's called, but I know that they've realized that it's probably not a good idea, because what they have is they have people that were cognitively impaired or people with mental health.
That's probably what the Board of Health is saying. Taking a totality of what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
We're creating systems to defeat a system that shouldn't even be here. If we just
the police response is going in not knowing, you know, they're not trained, so they go in, they see a dude who's mentally ill and he got a knife, and they throw 6 or 7 slugs in his back or whatever, you know. So they're looking at stuff like that. But I also think that that was why the reason like stuff like this is on the radar too is I wonder also how impactful everything that transpired last year, like the George Floyd and all that. I think I said it last week too, and how all this stuff would have played out if we weren't in a position where we had to sit still and observe it and absorb it also and look at it. Like if there was no pandemic and all this stuff was going on, would it had just been a hashtag for a week and we would have just moved on? You know, like
you know what, bro?
Everybody's trying to.
Our attention span is about half a second.
That's what I'm saying. All of this stuff now is almost, I think, like damage control to address. Like I think people are looking and they saying, all right, we got to get some good public relations. So, you know, as a result of it, we need to step back and we got to say that we finally have to acknowledge that racism exists and we're going to do something about it. This is one of the things that we're going to do about it. This is one thing we're going to address. This is how we're going to handle this. So I think that that's probably the reason why all of a sudden we get the New York City Board of Health declaring racism or public health crisis. Guysy.
And you know what's one of the staples as far as movies that was created that showed us everything that we're going through now, but it was minus the pandemic? Spike Lee movie.
Which one?
Do the Right Thing.
What was your statement? I ain't catch that.
That was the one with you know, Radio Raheem and all that, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So basically, we watched the movie 20 some odd years ago that's showing what it is now minus the pandemic, because all the pandemic does, like you said, right. It just added a 10 times more stress.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, man.
Well, let's see what comes out of it. Let's see if this is just not a fancy declaration and something that looks nice on paper, and there's actually some actionable steps that come out of it to help deal with this. So let's switch gears. Let's talk a little bit of hip hop. I don't know if you guys saw in the news this week, The Game. And The Game has been in the news for a number of things. I think more recently he's been in the news for not so much his music, but some of his antics. Like I know he was sued by this woman that he supposedly sexually assaulted, and I think she sued him, and she's been awarded millions of dollars, but he's claiming he doesn't have money. He's moving the money around. It's just a whole bunch of stuff. That's neither here nor there. But the comment he made this week is he said that he feels that his contribution to West Coast hip hop is undervalued, and as a result of it being undervalued, he was saying that he introduced the world to all these different artists. So my question to you is, do you think that the Game's contribution to West Coast hip hop, is it overrated or is it underrated, and why?
Overrated. The alcoholics get their flowers. They West Coast hip hop.
The licks.
See, the licks. They ain't get the props. And I love the licks, son. They can't, son. I liked I did. And I don't dislike him either. But when you see a pattern of what he's going through, and even allegations and accusations, if you got that type of energy following behind you, third of that shit is true, homer. You just trying to keep it under the rug. You don't want nobody to tarnish your name. But this dude, he out the gate, he had the prime of his life, man. His album documentary was a dope album. Every producer on there you wish you would have on a damn album.
2003.
Second album was hot too. His second album was hot too.
So you've done a lot with the West Coast on your back, and you should be recognized for what you've done. And if you haven't, that's probably your fault why you haven't gotten your flowers. Right. Being honest, yo, if people give them up, they give them up to people honestly because you see the body of work.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have no bad energy following behind them, and they're consistent. When you're inconsistent, that's when you could start putting holes in your game, because one minute you over here, you getting accused of this, and right in the same time, in the same breath, your name is being swung over here. Come on, bro, you're too busy. You're messy.
They moved away from music, right? To a whole bunch of extracurricular stuff.
You get messy, then it's easy to yank your chain, so to speak. And now you want to fight in the street. This kid is crazy, son.
What do you say, Z? What you think? Overrated or underrated?
I think Game was living up to his name. He's trying to spit game, but the shit is lame. Okay, no, for real. Because the Game, he has so many opportunities to flourish, even when he was back with G Unit, right? Now, don't get me wrong. He came out with the first album, 2003, production by Dr. Dre and all that other good stuff.
Hold that thought.
He was my second.
This nigga had Buckwild, High Tech, Just Blaze, Cool and Dre, Havoc, Kanye West, Scott Storch, and Timberland. And
All-Star cast.
And Dre.
All-Star cast. So I believe that Game's name hasn't been in the media is like Nas or Dr. Dre, Snoop, and Kendrick, or whomever. Number 2 or number 3 is that, okay, we all see that Snoop and Dr. Dre is going to be performing during the halftime of the Super Bowl, right?
Mm-hmm.
Of this upcoming Super Bowl. Game's name wasn't mentioned. That doesn't mean that Game might not come out and be featured. But I think this is a perfect opportunity for Game to come out with another album. I know he retired before. He said he was going to retire and all that other good stuff. But Game was very problematic to himself. He was known for like bullying people, fighting people that he know he can beat. I'm not gonna say the rapper's name. You know what I'm saying?
He has a short temper. He's a Sagittarius.
Short temper. Yeah, no, like look. We saw him on TMZ when he was out with Tip, and they was out on the West Coast, and somebody like 5'6" holding him back, and he like 6'4". Like, how does that happen? Okay. So that just means that he wasn't initially trying to get at the person. He was just trying to be in the limelight. So at the end of the day, I can't take nothing from his lyrics. The Game is solid as far as lyrical, but I do believe that the Game just needs to find another niche to get into besides music. Because right now, I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it.
Yo, you know what's crazy about this? Like, I asked y'all about his contribution to hip hop. Y'all just went to all the things that make him a lame weirdo or whatever. But
his biggest was that documentary album, but nothing jumped after, in my opinion.
Yeah.
His second album, The Doctor's Advocate, to me it was a good album.
Oh yeah, I heard that. Yeah.
He moved units with it. So my thing with Game is I like Game as an artist. I think he makes good music. Is his better years behind him? Probably so as a rapper. His better years are behind him. To say that his contribution, like the way he kind of framed it, is almost like that he's responsible for the Kendricks and all these other people. But when I thought about this, I thought about, because he had Kendrick on an earlier album. I remember when I thought about this, I thought about, like, we always talk about like the Mount Rushmore hip hop and all that, and I'm like, all right, so what's the West Coast Mount Rushmore? And I didn't have him on there. I started thinking about dudes like Ice Cube, Snoop, I call it Dre, Eazy-E,
MC8.
Like there's and that's why I think that's why he's probably a little bit salty, because then you have a dude like a Kendrick who has jumped over him, and Kendrick is just Kendrick's time. But yeah. If I was Game doesn't have anything to be ashamed of in terms of his career.
That's what I mean. Like he's looking for flowers. Really, you don't need them. The work that you've done speaks for itself.
Now here's the other thing.
Maybe he's looking like he should have had them by now. I think wait a little while, bro.
That's why I was about to say. That's a good point, because when we start talking about like the greatest of all times, when you start talking about the rap Mount Rushmore, people are, oh, Nas, Biggie, J, whatever. These are people who body of work that we talking 30 years of rap, whatever. And Game is around rapping for some time, but Game, I think, still has a long way to
go. For 18 years, not even 2 decades. First album came out 2003, so at least get to 2 decades and then say something.
Look at the people on the West Coast that we would say should be on the Mount Rushmore, because you don't hear a dude like Fab saying that he should be on the Mount Rushmore hip hop. If we talking about the East Coast,
you know why Fab know he still got more work to do.
And not only that, I think Fab also probably acknowledges like, yo, I'm not Nas, I'm not Biggie, I'm not Jay-Z, I'm not whoever. Whereas the Game, I think the Game, you got to step back and got to look and be like, yo, we talking about Snoop Dogg, like Snoop Dogg's contribution to hip hop in general, Ice Cube's contribution to hip hop in general, Dr. Dre, dude like Eazy-E, yo. Before I even put Game there, honestly, I would probably even go like, yo, I would probably even go further out to the Bay Area and be like, yo, a dude like Too Short, or how you call E40. Or E40 or whatever. I'm like, yo, these dudes cemented so much. They've done so much from
Ice-T. It might not be popular, but Ice-T.
Yeah, like, yo, these are people that they're legendary, and they were like West Coast pioneers who kind of laid the foundation for a Game. And I think Kendrick just happened to jump the line just because of the magnitude of what Kendrick just came in and transcended music in general.
I think it's too early for him to receive that type of accolade.
He'll never get it if he keeps up these antics, though, because the reason of what we just said, like we talking about hip hop and everything else came up about how the lame antics and beating people up and all that other stuff. And what's crazy?
That's what's even though that's part of media repetitively just bombarding us with that. But you seem to be always in a skirmish, bro.
Yo,
every time.
It's indicative. You can tell it's indicative of his personality. Maybe because it might be because of the game idea. All that is conditioned, and it turns you into someone when you start to realize, like, damn, I'm not really even that person.
Yeah.
You know what? We talk about
so much has been you kind of shoveling all these different emotions and moods and attitudes, and then you burst out with this mom.
Yo,
hey, what's that joint we saw him on back in the day? What's that game show? What's that game show?
Change Your Heart, but I forget what the name of it. Yeah, we ain't even mentioned Tupac for the West Coast. I'm always conflicted because I kind of feel Pac is an East Coast dude.
Pac's from the Bronx.
So I'm always conflicted by that, like whether he should be or shouldn't. But I just think, like, again, like the West Coast people, that body of work that you start looking at the Snoops and the Dre's and stuff like that of the world, like I think he has to wait his turn. And I'm gonna tell you, was probably even more eating him up, or is gonna eat him up, because
mentioning his name
posthumously, people are always gonna have Nipsey up there too. And Nipsey, like, is such a small body of work, but highly regarded and loved by the people that people always gonna be like, yo, with Nip got to be up there.
Neighborhood Nip. For you to get a name like that, that means you was a stand-up dude everywhere you went. Everywhere you went, I call you neighborhood Nip. And you were that young? Come on, son. You was doing a lot for your community. Ain't nobody saying neighborhood Game.
And I think Nipsey was a lot more. He was more humble than Game to me.
I mean, he had some of his antics when he was alive, like beating people up and doing all this stuff. But he didn't have the stuff. The positive things that he was doing outweighed, the negative stuff. Man, Mike Tyson confirms he's coming back to the ring in February. Zane, are you interested and why?
Yeah, Mike Tyson always going to be. Mike Tyson is always going to be a household name. Always going to bring in numbers. But I just feel that from what we watched, the little holding event when he fought Roy Jones, I think that's going to be nothing compared to what he's about to do now. That's if he fights Logan Paul or Jake Paul. I think he's gonna go in and just not hold back. I think he and another reason he had held back on Roy Jones because he has respect for him. Logan Paul or Jake Paul.
So you saying Mike got that dynamite he waiting to let out?
Yeah, I think Mike Tyson gonna really try to hurt either Jake Paul or Logan Paul. And then the fourth thing is that Mike is out for that bag. Like Mike is, but see that right now is that Mike weighs a lot less, his mind is a lot sharper, and he still has that skill set. But at the end of the day, Mike Tyson is just about that money right now. I would rather see him fight Holyfield, even though Holyfield got his ass whipped a couple of weeks ago. I'd rather see that again than to see him fight Jake Paul or Logan Paul.
So you here for it though? You interested?
Yeah, anything with Mike Tyson's name behind it, getting into the ring, yeah.
All right. What about you, Rob? You interested?
I'm not playing.
You interested, Rob?
Mike Tyson making a comeback. Now his comeback is against Holyfield. Is that not true?
No, it's against either Jake Paul or Logan Paul, but it's still not confirmed which one.
Probably Logan Paul, because I think I saw something today that Jake Paul swore to fight Tyson Fury's brother.
Yeah.
The bag is lost, man. We're in the bag era. So someone
WWE boxing is turning into the wrestling confederation.
As long as someone puts up an event and he's a part of Triller, I can see that happening.
Mm-hmm.
Are you interested though?
And watching it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I might watch it.
Okay, all right.
I might give it. I might just give it my time. And it's just out of pure curiosity to see if Mike would really come back and be even a shadow of himself. He can't be what he used to be. He was much younger. Man, he's 4 years old right now. So I thought if he came back, it would be good to see if he can. I had Evander Holyfield, but what about Lennox?
Yo, I'm not interested in seeing Mike Tyson fighting nobody. I'm just not. Like, you know why? You know why I'm not? I'm not because I feel like boxing is now turning into more about exhibitions than it is about the actual fights. Like, it's a sad day when you have dudes like Tyson Fury, Errol Spence, Bud Crawford, Virgil Ortiz, Sean Porter. You got all these quality fighters that make less than Floyd Mayweather, Mike Tyson, Jake Paul, Logan Paul.
He said them household names.
Or how you call it for, they make less as professional fighters than people putting on exhibition fights. And to me, it's like watching the Harlem Globetrotters. Like, I feel like I've already saw that show. I don't want to see fights where there's no outcome. Like, nobody wins at the end of the day. People just put their hands up. We tuned in because it's pros versus Joes kind of thing. And then from a safety standpoint too,
like pros versus Joes.
Yo, that's what it is. Pros versus Joes. But from a safety standpoint, like Mike Tyson is how 50 some years old? How's Mike Tyson? 54 years old. And I just saw what
gets me, but it's like, all right, he lost weight.
Whoever signed the commission that allowed Holyfield to fight that last fight, they need to be investigated.
They should beat up, son.
Why are they allowing these people to get in the ring and risk? Like, to me, Mike Tyson this is more money for him to make. I'm sure Mike Tyson is not hurting for money, but why would you even put him in a position to risk his health? You know, like even if it's not from him physically getting hit, but to go through this rigorous training or whatever it is, like at his age, it's just not worth it.
But look, Rob and Shannon, you gotta look at from this point of right. Say,
if you want to say from a business standpoint, Z, if you want to say from a business standpoint, nine
times out of 10, any promoter that has some type of confederation or whatever, boxing, wrestling, whatever. Look at Mike Tyson. He was in the WWE for a while, right? So anybody that has a confederation, they know Mike Tyson's name is going to bring in numbers. Now, if I was a person that owned a confederation, I'm sure you, Rob, or Shannon, you might not agree with what Tyson is saying as far as he wants. Because no, I'm sure they're saying like,
I just said that. I said from a business standpoint, yeah.
Right. But I'm saying, I'm sure a lot of them be like, "Are you sure you want to do this, Mike?" Mike's like, "No, I can do it, man. I can do it, man." So at the end of the day, they're not going to turn down that money because they know it's going to bring in numbers.
Jamie, but this is what you don't realize. These fights are not sanctioned. None of these fights are sanctioned. These are pure exhibition. These are exhibitions that people are putting on. They make their money off of pay-per-view. WBO, IBF, WBC, WBA. None of these people.
I'm down for this circus, though. I want to see this circus.
This is the equivalent of you finding two dudes in the street that's going to fight, and somebody saying, "I'm willing to pay to see them fight," and that's just. But
it's not a Mike Tyson. It's not a Mike Tyson.
Like I want to see Mike Tyson fight. Mitch Green, son. Bring back Mitch.
Oh wow, that'd be crazy.
Yo, see, this is why I'm not interested. Yo.
That'd be crazy. If we fight Mitch Green again, that'd be crazy.
Yo, I'm gonna be honest with you. Tell me one. I can only think of one good exhibition fight that I've seen since they started doing this. One.
Which
one? And it wasn't a good fight. It was just hardcore. It wasn't a good fight. It was just humor. Like, yo, we all laughed at it. Nate Robinson versus Jake Paul. But
that was a
fool.
It wasn't even like, come on, this dude is like
Floyd Mayweather went to Japan and beat that man up in that exhibition. Floyd Mayweather fought the Logan Paul kid. That was corny. Mike Tyson versus Roy Jones was corny. None of these fights are good fights.
No, they're not.
They're corny fights or whatever. Yo, these fights are so corny, I won't even watch them for free. I'm done. I don't want to see him. I don't want to see Floyd Mayweather versus Pacquiao anymore. I don't want to see Mike Tyson fight Vladimir Klitschko. I don't want to see. I want to see Mike Tyson go off in the sunset. Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao. Like, yo, dude, you still can formulate a sentence. Go somewhere. Go sit down. Enjoy your money. Do your podcast. Do your promotions. Do whatever it is. But yo, you don't need to be out here taking these kind of chances or whatever. Like, yo, these dudes, what they doing is equivalent to a dude in the street taking penitentiary chances. Like Mike Tyson already ain't playing with a full deck. Why are you gonna go and get in the ring and risk it and do this nonsense for what?
So you can bite somebody ill.
We could watch him for 8 rounds, 2-minute rounds, hug on somebody or somebody run around the ring from him.
Or whatever. He's not gonna hug on Logan Paul. He gonna try to get him out. He gonna try to get him out in the first 2-3 minutes.
That makes it even worse. Why we want to pay to see him knock out Logan Paul in two rounds or whatever?
Because you got a lot of people that want to see Logan Paul lose, and then you got a lot of people that still diehard Mike Tyson fans. So either way, it's going to bring the bag.
You know what? I think I respect Logan Paul for getting his money out of it, and I respect Mike Tyson for like, all right, if he need the money. But I just, as a consumer, I just don't want to see it. I'm just like, It's not how you call it, like
trendy now, yo.
Yeah, it's the Harlem Globetrotters. Like, all right, there's no winner, there's no knockdowns. The gloves got to be the size of the Rock'em Sock'em Bopper gloves. The ring got to be the size.
You know what it is too, Sal? I think a lot of the consumers, even for the first Tyson joint, these are the ones that are like the last 20 years or so. These are people that heard and saw like footage of Mike Tyson. They never got to see probably a Mike Tyson fight, but now they heard so much stuff about Mike Tyson, so they're looking at this generation right now.
I feel sorry.
It might be a big percentage of people that, and then you got people that's our age and over that still want to see Tyson, but I think majority of that bag is coming from like the younger generation that heard about Mike Tyson.
I just feel sorry for them because it's not a great representation of Mike Tyson. Like if I'm talking to my son legacy to go down and like telling my son what Mike Tyson was as a fighter, and then he see him hugging Logan Paul around the ring, gassed after the first 2 rounds.
Oscar De La Hoya want to come back too. Who wants to see Oscar De La Hoya?
I don't want to see that either.
That's what I'm saying. But
I don't want to see none of these. I don't want to see no exhibition fights. I understand why people are doing it, and if they could get money off of it, like Floyd or whatever. But for me as a consumer, I'm not paying for it. And honestly, at this point, if I magically had a way to watch it for free, I'm not watching it for free. I'm not interested. No,
I'm watching that joint, yo.
No, them fights have not been good. They haven't. None of them. You got how's 2 YouTube dudes fighting each other, making more money than Terrence Crawford and Sean Porter fighting each other? How that work?
A whole disrespect for the sport of boxing, right? I agree with that. Yeah, I agree with that. They made boxing too cosmetic now, so. They might have The Rock fight. What's this dude, John Cena or some bullshit?
Chad Ochocinco fighting. Ochocinco fighting people. What's next? So next we're gonna have an exhibition game. We're gonna have the 1985 Bears versus the 2004 Giants in the 2-hand touch game to see who will win.
No. Well, speaking Giants, the only one that I think can give wreck. The only one I think from back in the day that one of the many that can give wreck from back in the day with the Giants is Lawrence Taylor. That dude, like, he'll rip somebody's head off.
Yo, get the weekend. They have a nice little coke party, son.
Oh, he said the weekend. Oh my God. Oh no. What's even better? Have Lawrence Taylor come out to fight whomever, but have the weekend open up for him.
Right.
Yeah, that'll work. I'm not. Again, let me say this though. Whoever want to pay their money to see Mike Tyson fight, God bless you. It just ain't for me.
I'd rather see the rappers fight. Remember they had that video game, Vendetta, Def Jam Vendetta. I'd rather see like a 50 Cent versus Ja Rule or something like that.
I'd rather see the people who get paid as professional boxers, like Errol Spence versus Terrence Crawford. Like Virgil Ortiz versus Ron, and the people who actually get paid. They're professional boxers that's not past their prime. I'd rather see them fight. I could sit down and watch 2 boxers
versus Little Kim.
I could watch 2 boxers that's not in their prime in a sanctioned fight where I know it actually means something, like somebody that's not 56 years old. Like let's say if Adrian Broner was fighting somebody relevant.
I don't want to see Adrian Broner fight again.
I would watch that.
Did Adrian Broner did he retire?
Nah, he didn't. He just got legal trouble.
He should.
But right now, if Adrian Broner was fighting Virgil Ortiz, you wouldn't want to see that? I would love to see that.
I don't want to see Adrian Broner fight ever again.
Yo, I would love to. I'd rather see that than see Mike Tyson fight the YouTube dude.
No, I think that Tyson ain't gonna be good, and they might find a way to stretch it to make it a rematch. I hope they don't, but they might
make it a what?
They might find a way to make it a rematch, like a part 2. Nah,
this is scripted garbage.
They're gonna try to milk it.
Yo, people ain't gonna be satisfied till Mike Tyson is like Riddick Bowe or Muhammad Ali, and like it's just like that to me that was so disgusting what they did to Holyfield.
Yeah,
and Holyfield got beat up by a dude who in Holyfield's prime would have destroyed this person. I forgot who the dude who beat him up was, but Holyfield in his prime would have destroyed this man.
Speaking of Holyfield's son won last week though.
Yo, do you know that Holyfield took that fight? I think like on a week notice or something like that.
He needed that money.
Wow.
Like so he literally got off the couch from eating cheeseburgers and went and somebody some health commission or whatever, because they still got to get licensed in whatever state they fighting to fight. Yeah. Somebody actually licensed this man. Yo, this is the stuff we paying for. Like, I don't want to see Evander Holyfield. I remember in the group chat saying to y'all too, like, nah, I ain't with this. Like, who want to see Evander Holyfield at 56 years old get beat up by some young boy?
Okay, prime example, right? We had this brother on last year, former champ Antonio Tarver. You think Tarver happy to get back in the ring for an exhibition?
I don't want to see no exhibitions. You got to ask Rob that. I don't want to see no,
what do you think, Rob?
exhibitions.
Would you want to see Tarver get back in the ring for exhibition?
If it's gonna be a real fight,
yeah.
I don't want to see no scripted, nah, man. I want to see if they gonna fight, get punched in the face, fight.
Yeah.
Not no ducking and roper doping and all that. Nah, son.
Yo, I'm gonna tell you how foul they got with these fights now. Remember me and you, Zane, back and forth. We was having a banter and we were saying like, yo, all right, I'm betting that Mayweather will beat the dude beat Logan Paul or whatever. And you was like, nah, Logan Paul gonna win this, that. We were having this back and forth banter around this stuff under the impression that there would be a winner and loser. Literally the weekend before, I think the fight was on a Sunday. I think on Friday or Saturday, they announced there'll be no winner in the fight. You know why that is? Because if they would have said that in the beginning,
nobody would have bought it.
Exactly. People are gonna be like, wait a minute, you telling me that this is actually a spectacle?
They got everybody to buy into it for it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So that's how corny and cheesy it is.
And you know what it is too? A lot of money is being made underground, and a lot of money being made through that online betting joint too. And for the people that's up there that's betting, so they thinking about them numbers too.
That Tyson and Roy Jones fight looked like two drunk uncles fighting in the backyard.
over 40.
Exactly. All that hugging and
let me drink my 40, homie.
2-minute rounds, and it was 8 rounds, right?
They were still winded,
Exactly. After the second round, both of them was out on their feet. They should have called it a TKO. The highlight of the show was Snoop Dogg, remember?
Oh yeah.
Snoop Dogg's
Snoop was commentating, yeah.
But nobody, that stuff is trash. I don't know what the numbers were for what Mayweather and Logan Paul did. I don't know how many pay-per-view sales they had.
I ain't even watched that joint. But I'm definitely a Mayweather fan, but I didn't watch that joint.
Yeah. I'm not, that's what I'm saying. Like, yo, I'm cool on that. I don't want to see nobody.
I think in order for Mayweather to come back, he's gonna have to get at least like $400 million, if not $500 million to fight.
What do you mean, for a real fight?
Yeah, for a real fight. That's the only way Mayweather's gonna come back, I think.
These boys, after his Logan Paul performance, these real boys, like these top-notch real boys, he don't want that. It's gonna have to be a lot of money for him to get knocked out and put that blemish on his record, but he don't want that. For like his routine paycheck, he don't want his ego won't allow him to take that loss. And believe me, these boys will beat him up.
These young boys.
I would love to see him fight Errol Spence.
Nah, he don't want that work. He don't want that work. He don't. I don't think he wanted that work towards the end of his career because I
think he'll get Spence.
Nah, legend has it. You never heard the story about the training camp. You ever heard the story, Rob?
No.
About Spence in a training camp. That Spence came to Vegas to help Mayweather, I guess, prep for an upcoming fight. And Spence went in there and supposedly beat up everybody in the gym, black Mayweather's eye, not blown out and sparring also, and that they kicked him out of the gym. They end up putting him out of the gym, and then they got like other boxers that have come forward and confirmed it, that he went in there and worked them all over, gave everybody in the gym that work. So I don't think that they want that work. Yeah.
Who is that video?
Well, that's why I said Spence, because Spence is the only one that I can see that
people make it a point not to record because they don't want people knowing they getting worked over.
I would love to see that.
What you said, Zane?
I would pay for that.
No, but that's the only reason why I said Spence, because Spence has a high boxing acumen. That's the only person I could see out and try to get the I wouldn't want to see Crawford against Mayweather.
You don't think Crawford would beat Mayweather at this point in Mayweather's career?
Nah.
I think so. What do you think, Rob?
Nah, I don't bet against Floyd. So once he gets his motor going,
yeah, I think
he might even start off slow. Like, say if he did fight Crawford, he might start off slow in the first 3 rounds. Just to analyze the ring and fill out Crawford, and after that, it's over.
Right. He's a technician.
He's gonna win off points, not a knockdown. Floyd gonna win off points and savage.
I don't think he beats Crawford. I don't think he beats Spence. I don't think he beats Canelo again.
Well, that'll be tough for him to fight Canelo again.
Yeah, I don't think he'll.
I would have to say Canelo. I don't think he can beat Canelo again.
I think against a dude like Sean Porter, maybe have a chance against a dude like Sean Porter. Probably, you know who probably would be his best chance at winning? Probably like a Danny Garcia. Danny Garcia is slow, flat-footed, hanging and stuff like that or whatever. But
he'll be dinging Danny, dog. He'll be dinging him.
That wouldn't bring in enough money for Floyd because Garcia got a couple of losses, so it wouldn't bring enough for him.
I mean, you don't think Floyd could get that kind of money for fighting Garcia, but he got that kind of money for fighting Logan Paul?
No, that's different because you have two confederations joining for the bag as far as promotion wise. So if you have two boxers with a Garcia and Floyd, I think that bigger bag was it was more of a reach to get like a Logan Paul dude in there because you got a lot of people that don't. Now go ahead.
You got the casuals, the YouTube, the kids or whatever, but Floyd versus anybody. I think Floyd versus Andre Berto did 800,000 buys. So Floyd versus anybody. If you put Floyd in with Danny Garcia, that's over 1 million pay-per-view buys now. Well, easily, I think they would easily get 1 million just off of what's the name, Floyd's name alone versus a quality welterweight. But them other dudes, I'm telling you, like Floyd. I don't think Floyd would be able to do anything with some of them young dudes.
He's the money team, son. He bring the money, son.
Yeah, I as much as I like Floyd, I just think like these younger cats now is like animals or whatever. And Floyd is a little bit, his reflexes not as fast as what they used to be. And even though Floyd stays in great shape, I just think that I respect that about Floyd though, that he's smart enough to be like, nah, I'm cool. I'm gonna let them do that. I'm retired. I'm gonna keep getting this exhibition money.
He'll definitely get his chin tapped.
Yeah. But I'm serious. Like, I'm not down with like the paying to see these fights where there ain't no winner. Yeah.
It's shit shows, man. They're there for you to be sensationalized for what you think is gonna happen. Then it turns out to be something else. And then you're mad you spent $79.99 on some bullshit.
Well, they know, I think these promotion companies, they know that they need to do more than that. That's why you see they attach like rappers to it. I think Lil Wayne was performing on one. French Montana performed on one of them.
You gotta make an event out of it, man. You gotta do it. It's just a boxing match. You gotta turn it into a concert.
It gotta be something because there's gonna be a fight. Nobody gonna win, and both the boxers gonna be punched out and winded. You know how I'm like, nah, man. Like I like Iron Mike too much to see Iron Mike.
Yeah, stay with the podcast, man. Get that cannabis farm going he's been talking about. Stuff.
Roy Jones was looking like Larry Holmes. Yo, when they showed their wait for the night, it had like 3 question marks.
Yo, son.
Flabby and sick. Mike Tyson just lunging it. I'm like, yo, this is nothing but a street fight in the backyard, boy. Only thing they needed to have playing was, remember the joint? A family reunion. A family reunion. Yeah, it was trash. Trash fight. Oh, man. Any closing words?
Listen, man. Shout out to 914 Prince. We in the building, as you can see. Nah, man. I'm glad to be alive, bro. I got a kidney.
Reunion.
That's it.
Family reunion.
That's what Zane want to see. And then you got a weekend out there performing for them guys.
I'm not taking the bait this week, Zane. You could try, but I'm not taking the bait this week.
What, for the weekend?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Hey, shout out to one of the best to do it right now, man. The Weeknd, man. Shout out Rob don't like the Weeknd. The Weeknd make incredible music. Nah, but on a serious note, we got some pretty good upcoming interviews and stuff like that, dealing with fashion, hip hop, sports, and all that, and everything in between. So y'all just stay tuned. We're gonna give y'all what you want, man.
Yeah, I want to hear from everybody in the comments. Also, do you want to see Mike Tyson at this point fight another exhibition fight? I like to hear that. Hear what you think about that. Also, your thoughts on why so many people are resigning. You know, that'd be good to hear from an audience, get their perspective on this. But other than that, it's been real. Appreciate you guys.
101, baby.
Another lovely episode. We'll catch y'all next week.
Peace.
Peace, everybody. Peace.